Now, this is the very first live that I have run on my own, so I hope you will bear with me, and I also want to try something. So, if any of you are willing to be my guinea pigs and let me bring you up into the live to ask your questions directly, please say me. Anybody? And then I'll let you go. So, for those who are, thank you, Daryl. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. Okay, here's the problem. There's a whole bunch of Daryls. So let me see. This is why we're okay. Visit profile. I'm going to visit your profile. There we go. Okay. Now I know which Daryl. Again, guys, bear with me, please. I'm just experimenting a bit, and this is my. Oh, okay. So this is the problem. All right. There are way too many Daryls, and I can't distinguish. So if you want to give me your, uh, oh, let me see. I see Jai. That should be a bit easier to find. Thank you. Here we go. Okay, I'm inviting you right now, Jai. And you should get an invite. And if you do, then just accept it. And then you can tell me live how to pronounce your name in case I'm butchering it. Welcome, everybody. We are just waiting. You're all early, and I love that. And I'm experimenting, seeing if I can bring someone up live for a question and then let them go. Look at that. There she is.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. Is it Jai?
Jay is good. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Jay. All
That's
right. Well, thank you for helping me test this out. And part of the test is going to be bringing you back off the stage after you ask a question, if you have one. Although I haven't even talked yet. So
yeah.
there's no reason you'd have a question.
Well, I guess my question could be, what's going on, Anne?
Well, this is my very first time running my own live. So I hope you will all bear with me. That's what's going on. And I just had to give my dog a quick bath out on the deck because she rolled in something. So that's what's going on in my world. What's going on in your world?
Awesome. Well, obviously, I just took a shower and kind of having a nice late start today before I get to my rating.
All right. And you are up in Canada, right?
I am. I'm in BC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Expat though, so I grew up in the States. So yeah,
Okay. Well, Jay, thank you for letting me test this. And I'm going to see now if it also works to bring you back off the stage.
perfect. Awesome. Thanks. It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too. And okay, apparently. Oh, look at that. Wait. There it is. It was even easier than it was supposed I thought it would be. Thank you so much, Jay. All right. Well, we are going to wait just a couple more minutes for people to join. And in the meantime, I am looking at the chat and would love to see some messages, either to the chat group or to me. If you already have a question queued up, we can do it in the chat, or I can experiment with bringing you up here. And this is going to be all about that IRS grift and what happened yesterday, which was massive. It was, uh, you know, um, as I said in my post about it, I did predict this, and so I'm feeling a little kind of proud of myself. What I predicted, and I know some of you know because you've mentioned it, is that there was something so squirrely about the way it went down that it got my spidey sense tingling immediately. But I'll talk about that in a minute. I can see the chat, and I am not present. I mean, I'm not streaming to another platform. Welcome, Kansas. And hey, you guys, do you all love my mug? Hey, Eric. So I have decided, thank you, Nancy. I have decided because people started commenting on my mugs, which are sort of legal jokes, that I will try and do a different one, never the same one 2 days in a row. So you guys can spot all my mugs. And it is 11:30 here, 1:30 in New York and 10:30 in the California time zone, so we are going to start. So this show is about the IRS settlement, which is also what allegedly started that massive 1776 slush fund, and also the ridiculous quote unquote agreement that the IRS would not prosecute anyone named Trump. So, is there anyone out here who has not heard about that? Okay. And I am monitoring the chat. I think that is the best way. It's certainly the most streamlined way to interact and ask questions. So, okay. So, just to very quickly cover it in case you forgot or hadn't heard, basically, Trump sued the IRS for a bazillion dollars, claiming that he had been injured because the IRS had released his tax returns, that someone at the IRS had released the tax returns. Of course, it turned out that that was a contractor. It wasn't even someone, officially, employed by the IRS. But be that as it may, that lawsuit was never going to go forward to trial. It was never going to be litigated because it was ridiculous. Trump, last week or the week before, filed a voluntary motion to dismiss the sorry, I'm just reading what Chris wrote. Trump filed a voluntary dismissal to dismiss the entire lawsuit. The thing that caught my eye and made my spidey sense tingle was that he dismissed it with prejudice. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means in the law, if a lawsuit is dismissed or, um, yeah, dismissed without prejudice, it means it can be filed again. If it is dismissed with prejudice, it means that it cannot be filed again. And a defendant would always want a lawsuit to be dismissed with prejudice. But Trump was the plaintiff. So immediately I wondered, why would the plaintiff in a lawsuit want to make it so they couldn't bring the lawsuit again? So that was the first clue that there was something very, very wacky about this. Then the next day or so, the news came out about this settlement. And we didn't see the settlement. What we saw was the document allegedly creating that slush fund. And then later, this other document purporting to be an agreement between Trump and the IRS pursuant to the lawsuit, saying that the IRS in perpetuity, meaning forever, would never be able to uh, go after, investigate, prosecute anything Trump or anyone in his family and anyone with the name Trump. So here's where I need you to start really have you followed me so far, because it gets really ridiculous now. Okay. The first thing, doing these in order of when they were released. This Remember, the court case had been dismissed with prejudice. That means there was no court case anymore. That court case was gone. It had been 86'd. The IRS document didn't actually say the name Trump. What it said, the one about not going after him, what it said was that the IRS forever would not investigate or pursue or prosecute the plaintiff. Well, there was no lawsuit. There was no plaintiff anymore. So I first of all just believed and said that even if that document had been legitimate and legally binding and would hold legal water, that it applied to nobody, to a nonentity, to a ghost, because there wasn't a plaintiff, and that is who was identified in that document was quote unquote plaintiff, not Trump. You guys following so far? Okay. Then they finally released the settlement. At the very top of y'all know how court documents look when they've been filed with the court. There's what's called the caption. Some people call it the header. It's where you have the name of the plaintiff, the name of the defendant, the court that it's in, etc., right? That's an official court document. The settlement, which was executed a day or two after the case was dismissed, had at the top of it all of that official court stuff, even though it had actually never been filed with the court. In other words, they were trying to make it look like an official court-approved settlement, but it wasn't. It was actually not a forgery, but it was a fraudulent header, a fraudulent caption. But wait, there's more. When the judge granted the dismissal of the case, closing the case, she made a very big point in the closing document and order of saying, there is no settlement in this case. The parties have not brought a settlement to the court. This case is being closed with no settlement. So what the hell were they trying to prove with that caption at the top? What were they trying to pull? So this is the setup this week, coming into yesterday. Now, at the time this all first came down, these were the things that I had pointed out as being legal defects. Sometime in the past week, 35 former federal judges filed a brief with the court. Now, the legal technicality is they filed it as a motion or in the alternative as an amicus brief. An amicus brief is basically a friend of the court brief. It's something that is lodged with the court in a lawsuit by someone who is not a party to the lawsuit, so they have to ask permission of the court, but it's to inform the court of things that have to do with the case or the legal background or whatever. These 35 former federal judges filed this motion / amicus brief with the court. And part of what this amicus brief did was ask the court to reopen the case because they thought that Trump had perpetrated a fraud on the court. And I agree. And that gave the judge the hook to reopen the case. Now, I have some lawyers in the audience, so I'd love to know if you have ever seen this happen before. It's extremely rare, and in my own decades of practice and teaching and everything, I have never actually seen a live, not a reported in the history books case that has this procedural posture. It's has come back up and been reopened in this way. It's stunning. And I can tell you, I am confident that judge is pissed. And I believe that because she mentioned so clearly that there was no settlement in the case when she closed the case, I believe she already knew that they were trying to play her and that this was a grift. But when you put the court caption at the top of a document to make it appear as if that document has been received and even, stamped of approval by the court, when that has not happened, that's some really bad juju, and I am certain that Trump and his legal team are going to get spanked. Okay, I will take questions, and also, if there is I know I have a couple of lawyers out there, so have you guys ever seen something like that happen before? Uh-oh, did the chat freeze? Can you all hear me? Alright, I am gonna reload because I believe that I have frozen, or at least the chat has. Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, it was just stuck. Rule 7, do not upset the judge. Oh, thank you, Annabella. Yeah, I'm just being quiet because 'cause I'm reading the chat. Yeah, internet lag. Can they get jail? Well, it's really, really tricky because, uh, first of all, a judge is that would be the penalty of last resort because it is the president of the United States, and it is the Department of Injustice. So, is the fraud and that I was just about to say that, Kathy. I was gonna say, I think a more likely possibility, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but that they would be found guilty of fraud and that would be the grounds for impeachment that might stick this time, although I kinda really doubt. I mean, he could be impeached, but remember the House impeaches and the Senate, um, convicts and removes, and the Senate is not gonna do that now. But, we've got midterms coming up. So, I think that this is, like, a very, very big deal. And, yeah, Sandra, that's also that the Kennedy Center ruling, which, I also wrote about. Trump really, really suffered a one-two punch this week, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Um, I just keep thinking, what were they thinking? I mean, it's almost like his lawyers now and the DOJ don't even seem to care at all if what they do is not just winnable, but legal. Um, so yeah, yes. And no, you can't really file a restraining order against him, but it would be nice if you could. All right. Any other questions or comments? I wanted to keep this short because it's my first, but I'm really grateful to all of you guys for joining me. Did any of you guys come over from Facebook and this is your first time on Substack or with me? Glenn, I had not heard that. His team of lawyers left him? Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Cindy. Sue, just so you I know that you subscribe to my Substack, even if it's the free version. You can get every one of my articles, posts, whatever you want to call them, right in your inbox, so you don't miss any of them through Substack. Okay, I feel like I'm reading and nodding my head, but being silent, which of course no one loves dead air time. So, uh, yeah, Jody, I get it. I get it. Here's the thing: from a sort of broad view, it really does look like they just don't care about the law. They don't care about the Constitution, but what they're really doing is they are testing the law. They're testing the boundaries here. So that is, you know, what what the wide view would seem to say is that everything they're doing is illegal, but in reality, for the most part, what they are doing is either within the very, very boundaries, just right up against the boundaries of the law, or they are testing, always testing, and they probably know that some of it's gonna fail. They probably hope some of it won't fail, but I've always said that at some point, they always go right up to the line, but at some point, they're going to cross that line, and this basically forging a caption again, forging's not quite the right word, uh, plagiarizing isn't either, I'm not sure, maybe you guys can come up with the right word for what they did, but putting the caption on the settlement improperly, I think may have crossed the line. I certainly hope so. On another note, who here is hoping that the stolen Smith 2 report that Judge Cannon made a point of making sure that no one would ever see, who here is hoping it gets leaked? Actually, you're probably all hoping it gets leaked. Who here bets that it gets leaked? Not betting any money, of course. This isn't Polymarket. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need to see. We need to see that thing leaked. And let me tell you, speaking as, one of my areas of expertise is email law and policy and email and DNL. Like, I'm a huge geek. For those of you who don't know, my actual day job, quote unquote, is running the company I founded more than 20 years ago, having to do with email deliverability and DNS. So I know email. And from the reporting we've seen, Lineberger, I think that's her last name, or something like that, um, not only emailed it to herself off-site to her Hotmail account, but then forwarded it with a different title, different subject by email to a Yahoo account. Those are the actions of someone who is making sure that she still has a copy of it. Whether or not she has sent it anywhere else yet, uh, is anybody's guess, but I sure hope so. Yep, with a chocolate cake title, and then the second one was changed to a bunt cake. That's what the email said, yeah, so thank you, Jody, for Threads, I should have mentioned Threads, of course. Okay, so for those of you who see Peter's comment saying that it blows his mind when he sees me post on NANOG, that stands for the North American Network Operators Group. So yeah, my geek roots run deep. All right. I am gonna let you guys go. I really hope this was helpful. Thank you for helping me do my very first on my own live chat. As some of you know, I have guested on Zev Shalev's chats often lives, and I am now the official legal commentator for the Daily Whatever show. But this is the first time I've done my own live. So thank you very much. And I'm going to let you guys go and have a great weekend. Bye.